All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is David Patrick Carey with Church of the Eternal Logos. And tonight, I want to talk to you guys about being undefeatable, the anti-fragility of truth. And so tonight's topic is going to be talking about or building upon a theory put forth by Nassim Taleb in a book called Antifragility. Basically, his concept in his theory, and this is I'm going to theologically kind of relate this both to ourselves as people, as Christians, as Orthodox Christians, and of course, theologically to Christ himself. But Taleb puts forth a theory of what is the opposite of something that's fragile. We kind of intuitively know what something is fragile. Something that's fragile, you have to take care of. You have to control it. You have to make sure it's in a safe place. And then he talks about, well, what's the opposite of fragile? And most people think resilient, a robust system, something that resists that which is a stressor or an adversity or some type of struggle against it. And he says, and he argues in his book, and that's what the whole book, his book Anti-Fragility is about how certain systems actually gain strength through adversity. That's actually the opposite of what we would consider fragility. If something that's fragile breaks under pressure, the opposite of fragile isn't something that resists that pressure. It's something that doesn't break, but actually grows in face of pressure. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, is that anti-fragility, this is more of a scientific definition, is a property of a system which increases in capability to thrive as a result of stressors, shocks, volatility, mistakes, attacks, and failures. And what I'm going to do is relate this to men generally speaking. You know, my general premise is that what is a man? A man, especially a great man, is a man who can face challenges and overcomes them. And I would say this is actually an anti-fragile system in the sense that we become more every time we face something and overcome it. And that's why we respect and we appreciate great men. Men that face challenges and grow stronger after overcoming them. We don't break. And we don't just resist it and curl up in a ball and hope the challenge goes away. No, we face it, we confront it, and we grow stronger. And so with that general framework then, I want to argue that truth, as you know, I've said this 1,000 times, and this is general Orthodox theology, is that truth is not a what, but a who. Truth is a who, not a what. Truth is a person that is the second person, Jesus Christ, the Logos. And of course, we know that the Logos at a metaphysical framework is all these things that we would associate with what truth would be. Well, maybe truth is mathematical. Well, maybe truth is logical. Or maybe truth is linguistic. Well, all these things, again, are rooted in the Logos. Truth is a who, not a what. And the who of truth, Jesus Christ, is the ultimate example of anti-fragility. Think about it. Christ faces a lot of different pressures, a lot of different struggles, a lot of different adversities. From the time he was born, there was a mandate to kill baby boys. His family, his mother, the mother of God, the Theotokos, Joseph, they fled to Egypt. They resisted. They actually grew, again, you could think of Christ actually growing up in a faith, growing stronger, growing up in opposition to this. But his whole work, everything he did is a sort of paradoxical irony. He's revealing the mystery of the kingdom to uneducated fishermen. He's hanging out, and God incarnate is spending time with the lowliest and the most sinful among us. You see, Christ, his whole life, the whole incarnation of the Logos is a story of anti-fragility. It's a story of how God and how man, as he faces challenges, actually grows stronger, becomes more and more. And this culminates, obviously, with Jesus Christ on the cross. On the cross. And so even when the world, led by the evil one. Guys, smash that like, too. We got 51 people in here and only 20-some likes. Guys, smash that like, please. Please do that. Everybody that's here, hit that like button. And if you'd like to support the stream, please use the Streamlabs link if you could. So the world, the evil demonic world, the world led by the evil one, that when it wanted to persecute God, persecute the incarnation of truth, they still lifted it up, right? It's still elevated in a way amongst the faces of people. The only difference is those people perceive truth to be the opposite. Right? In a way, those are the fragility. Those are the fragile minds. And I'm going to connect that even to the contemporary period here with people becoming more fragile. But we can think of the Pharisees. We can think of the Romans. We can think of the mob. Right? And remember, what is mob? Just a few letters. You change the letters one over. It's NPC. And we look how the mob wanted Barabbas. The mob wanted to kill God. The mob wanted to persecute truth. And in so doing, they actually elevate it. But when they look at truth, they see the opposite of what it actually is. They see, Christ committed no crime. Christ committed, no transgression against the Romans or the Jews, technically. But yet they still killed him. And the people who wanted it were looking at truth and perceiving it as the opposite. And I'm going to tie this into, again, the broken brain, the minds of so many contemporary people who, again, they look at two genders. They look at babies coming out of the womb with, again, a penis and testicles and a vagina, and they say it doesn't matter. It's not real. It's made up. Again, looking at truth, looking at reality and seeing something different. This is a fragility in the sense that their minds are fragile. You see, they can't face challenges and overcome. They're sort of broken. And that's part of mind control itself, is breaking the psyche down so that you can then fill the person with the nonsense or with the program that you want them to have. That is the NPC. And so even the world, when it tried to persecute truth, it lifts truth up. But those then who are pursuing truth can see truth for what it actually is. And look at the symbolism of the cross. I mean, truth then is right in the center of a cross. North, south, east, and west, all directions come together towards truth. Truth cannot be destroyed. When the world buried truth, truth even resurrected. Truth cannot be destroyed, and that's why truth is the ultimate anti-fragility. That as we look at the world around us, we see a fragile system. We see the system that is still persecuting Christ, but now it's persecuting the metaphysical reality of the Logos itself. Christ, technically as a historical entity, isn't here right now. He's at the right hand of the Father, but what is still here is Christ in the sense of the Logos, the metaphysical reality, the sacred structures, the orderedness of creation itself. And we see that that is in fact what they're up against. Evil is still trying to recapitulate the crucifixion of Christ in the present moment through its attack on the metaphysical reality of Logos itself, on the attack on objective truth, on the attack of objective differences between male and female. In this sort of false world then, the fragile mind, the mind that's already been broken, the mind that can't and wants to avoid the encountering of challenges and adversity and struggles, then it is led by hedonism. It's led by the seeking of pleasure and happiness, which is an easy box to keep people manipulated and moving towards a certain goal. And that fragility, it's an alternate reality. It's a false world. It's a false paradigm. It is a sort of metaverse. And so Christ the Logos is the reality of truth at every level, right? And so think the archetypes, the ethics, the moral structures, the parables, the metaphors, the historical example of God incarnating as a person. All these things are true on all levels, and it's undefeatable. It's a fixed aspect of reality itself. And that's why truth then is the ultimate anti-fragility, because it can never be destroyed. And so these control systems, whether it be when they killed Christ, whether it be right now with the censorship they have on the internet, they're trying to bury truth, covered up with lies, covered up with nonsense, covered up with propaganda, but you can't. And see, all the false propaganda and the lies that cover this up, they themselves are lies. They're coming from the father of lies. It's the same exact system. And what that is, it's a fragile system, because as people then confront truth, as again, they live in the alternate reality that's continually trying to lie and cover up what is actually real, they can't look at truth because it would shatter the fragility of the alternate reality that they actually live in. You see. And so currently, the world we're living in is trying to kill the logos still. The war is on the metaphysical reality of Christ, the truth of Christ, and again, this sort of foul logocentrism, the central pillar of Christendom itself. They must destroy this. And so we look at the deliberate chaos and disorder of the world, and this, as I'm arguing, is an attempt to obfuscate the reality of truth incarnated in reality. Not just truth, but all things. 2 + 2 = 4. Well, according to now, mathematics of this sort is racist. It's white supremacy. What is going on here? This is the same thing. And the people who participate and move into this sort of alternate reality are fragile. They have fragile minds. They actually break when they encounter pressure and force. And that's why then the system of evil, the system of sin, is maneuvering and positioning them so that they don't have to face challenges. Look, we'll give you happiness. Look, we'll give you your alcohol. We'll give you your porn, just like they did during the coup, just like they did during the lockdown. It's the same thing. You see, they manipulate people who have these fragile minds, these fragile existences, that they're able to manipulate them through the hedonism and the pleasure to move them into further and further and further into the alternate reality, further and further into the metaverse, further and further into a reality that's continually obfuscating and covering up the truth. And that's why they don't want to look at the truth. And when the truth is hanging on a cross in front of them, they see it as the opposite of what it is. They see it as the scapegoat. They see it as that which is causing their unfortune, and it's never themselves. And so the propaganda and lies are a sort of recapitulation of the crucifixion. You see, the crucifixion of Christ, the truth incarnate, the truth, in a way, as every time they try to lie to us, they try to give us this propaganda, they try to give us this nonsense, they are recapitulating the crucifixion. They are crucifying the truth. And they want us to be part of the mob. They want us to be part of the NPCs that go along with the narrative of the system. And so the evil and adversities we now face are actually opportunities for growth, because if we then, following Christ, are called to become anti-fragile, we are called to obtain anti-fragility, that as we encounter persecution, as we encounter pressures and chaos and stressors, we actually grow in strength. And that is, look at the body, right? What religion actually talks about the sanctification and the salvation of the physical body? It's Christianity. And look at the physical body. What does it do when it's stressed? Demonstrating this anti-fragility reality, the body grows in strength. That's why I go work out in the gym. That's why I lift weights. I stress the body so that the body, as an intelligent system, then responds to that stress by becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's exactly the nature of reality. And so we see strength is obtained by stressors, by pressure, by challenges. And what do we say as Christians? Why do so many saints in the Orthodox Church thank God for adversity? Because they are opportunities to work out our salvation. Just like I work out in the gym. We're working out our salvation. We're coming up against confrontation, challenges, and we embrace the opportunity to overcome them. Because every time we overcome a challenge, a pressure, a stressor, we become more than what we were before we encountered it. And that's why all these saints, male, female saints, we thank God. We glorify God for our struggles. We glorify God for our persecution. And so the evil and adversities we now face are opportunities for growth. And this is what it means to carry our cross then. Right? This is what it really means to carry our cross. To carry our cross is to be ultimately anti-fragile. We're going to carry the thing that they're going to try to kill us with. And we're going to embrace it. And we're going to ask them to do it because they ultimately can't kill me. As a man, as I embrace the world and I embrace challenges and I embrace adversity and I embrace different stressors and I become more and more and more of what I am every time before I challenge them, then that which kills me deserves to kill me. And it really can't kill me, right? Eventually something will. Eventually a challenge will be so great, it is going to kill me. But if I'm following Christ, if I'm carrying my cross, I'm now a martyr. This is my martyrdom. This is my opportunity for transcendence. This is my opportunity to become fully human, just as Jesus Christ was, just as the holy martyrs are. We become more human through the confrontation of challenges and persecutions. That's why our religion embraces it. We grow in the face of it. This is a totally different approach. The church is the ultimate example of anti-fragility. Christianity grew due to the Roman Empire trying to stamp out Christianity. That's what anti-fragility is. It's not Islam. It's not conquering by the sword. It's not military expeditions in Arabia. No, it's allowing those who hate you to kill you and you not changing. You never wavering from the path of God. Again, because He is the way, the truth, and the life. And so as we follow this way, we get to engage with the truth. We get to obtain eternal life. That's what it means to carry your cross. That's what this whole thing is about. Worldly challenges, as I said, are the opportunities in which we work out our salvation. This is a blessing. So then you look at the state of the world right now, and you or I are called to resist the world. We're called to find more truth, perceive more truth, learn more truth, because as we take in that truth, again, that truth is an uncreated energy of God. Truth is we're engaging with our higher faculties. We're actually becoming more like Christ. And what's going to happen, especially in today, especially after 2020, we're going to be persecuted more and more and more. That's what's coming. That's why we have to be anti-fragile. We need to embrace our anti-fragility. We need to embrace these challenges that are going to come our way. And it can be all types of things. And again, look at the history of the church. It's the martyrs. It's the martyrs that grew the church. Incredible. And so as we become more animal-like, we become more fragile. Because again, if Christ, the incarnated Logos, is the ultimate example of anti-fragility, the ultimate example of resisting the pressures of the world, the pressures of his own people, the pressures of the strongest empire in the world, the Roman Empire at the time, the pressures of dealing with sinful people, the pressures of trying to relay an eternal mystery to uneducated fishermen. That as we become more animal-like, because the goal of evil is to make us more fragile. That is the goal. That is how evil wins. As we become more animalistic due to us wanting to avoid challenges, right? Oh, I don't want to avoid that challenge. I don't want to get my health in order. I don't want to pray. I don't want to do everything that I have to struggle to do. We become more animal-like. We become more fragile. Any attachment to the world, any addiction to the world is ultimately a fragility. Because what are you going to do when that thing is taken from you? Oh, are you broken? Are you sad? Are you going to make it? And so this even comes from Nassim Taleb's book. I mean, some of his inspiration came from Seneca, the Stoic. And Seneca talked about how, one of the things that he was fragile about was his wealth, that he was a very, very wealthy man. And so because he was very wealthy, he actually was dependent upon that wealth, and that was something that could be taken away from him. So his wealth was a fragility because he could not grow in response. That because he had so much wealth, it could only be taken away. So what did he do? He woke up every morning and acted as if he was poor. Because even though he has his wealth, if I become accustomed and used to being poor and I can live as a poor person, then it doesn't matter if you take my wealth away. You can't harm me. That's him becoming anti-fragile. And we need to think about creating lives that are anti-fragile because they're coming for us. And I'm not just being Christian. I'm talking about everything. They're coming for your biology, your medical history. They're coming for your private property. They're coming for your money. They're coming for everything. But that's also why we're here. That's part of our providence. That's part of our ability to work out our salvation. In a way, what better time would you want to live to work out your salvation? It's a great opportunity. All the sexual lust, all the pornography, all the look at the degeneracy of society. Wait, you're telling me I have to carry my cross and I have to try to resist all this stuff? Yeah, you do. And by doing so, we actually become more than what we are, and we're working out our salvation. And so the goal of evil is to make people more fragile. As people believe the lies of the liar, of the evil one, they become weaker and more controllable. They become weaker and more controllable. And that's exactly what we see. Look at your friends. Look at your family. Look at the state of the world. Look at the people who believe in all these propagandistic lies, these things that have totally been refuted. I can't believe the people that are still wearing masks, that are still talking about the jibby jabs. What? You guys haven't looked at anything? You didn't see the Pfizer data? What's going on? Again, the absence of truth. Because the fact that I looked into the Pfizer data, the fact that I know what's going on, you see, now I'm in a position for the world to persecute me. Just like the recapitulation of Christ himself. You see, we need to make sure that we don't believe the lies, that we don't believe the propaganda, that we then are only in pursuit of the truth. In Christ, Jesus Christ is the wholeness of truth itself. He is the truth. Truth is a who, not a what. And so the fragile mind ends up seeing truth as a threat. That's exactly what we see in people today. Just as the Pharisees looked at Christ, the truth, and they saw a threat. Just as the Romans saw Christ and maybe the reactions of the Jews, they saw a threat. Maybe, again, the same thing is true with people who don't want to look at the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, the sexual proclivities of our President Joe Biden and children. Hunter Biden and his laptop, the stabbies. Like, you see, we're in the same reality. The reality where people who have the fragile mind, who have a system of being that is able to be made broken, and they're afraid of that brokenness, and their wholeness is a false reality that's put together by a sort of magical narrative, they do not want to look at the truth, because the truth, being undefeatable, being anti-fragile in nature, destroys the fragile world that they live in. So the Russia collusion, Trump, again, think of any of these propagandistic, these major lies we've seen over the last 5 years. And we see it's the same thing. The people who can look at truth and not see truth, they are the fragility. They are living in a fragile world where actual truth shatters their fragile reality. The anti-fragility of truth breaks and destroys their perceptive, their reality tunnel, because it's not really real. It's a magical narrative of falsehood. It's created by the evil one. And that's why then they go along with the lies. That's why they're probably triple, quadruple, double boosted. Right? Why? Because they believe the lies, and that in truth and light, they can't exist in the same place. You only have so much energetic space within you. Again, our goal is to be filled with the energies of God so that we can be divinized, that through grace we can come to that likeness. We're made in the image, but right now we lack the likeness of God, that we become like God through the engagement of his energies. And so any attachment to the world is a form of fragility. As I said, your money, your porn, your sex, whatever it is. That's why, again, what is then Christianity calling us to? It's calling us to a life of anti-fragility, ironically. Christianity is calling us to a life in which we face these challenges head on, face on, and we grow in them. We grow in response to them. We become more. In that process of becoming more, of facing challenges, is the carrying of your cross. It is the theosis. It is becoming and gaining the likeness of Christ, because he is the ultimate example of this anti-fragility. He's the ultimate example of facing the challenges and overcoming. And so the hedonistic pursuit of happiness prevents anti-fragility. And that's why the happiness cult, we just need to make everybody happy. We heard this with the Russell Brand spirituality. We've seen this For so many people, that everything should just be about everybody being happy. Be happy, be happy. Well, actually, happiness may not be where we grow. According to the concepts of anti-fragility, which again, Nassim Taleb gets into mathematics, economics, all these different understandings of anti-fragility. For him, it's ultimately a mathematical formula. I'm bringing a sort of theological context to this, of which he does not talk about, but this is a sort of theological framing of anti-fragility, that the hedonistic pursuit of happiness literally prevents anti-fragility, because anti-fragility requires us to face challenges head on and overcome them. That requires us to become uncomfortable. Again, just like fitness, just like building your body, just like getting healthy, just like your spiritual life, and just like following Christ. Right? Just like working out your salvation. It's the same thing. That the hedonistic pursuit of happiness doesn't allow one to embrace discomfort as actually a place of growth. It's actually seen as a negative. It's a detriment. And so all these people then around our societies, it could be our mothers, could be our brothers, could be our sisters, our cousins, it doesn't matter. It could be our best friends. If we see people who are running away from challenges, pressures, and stressors, and they're just led by happiness and what makes them feel good, they are becoming more and more like an animal. They are actually becoming more and more fragile, because they're going to adopt more and more lies to justify their fragility, to justify the ways in which they're living their lives. These sort of absence of meaning and just fill it with pleasure. These sort of pursuits, again, prevent one from actually growing. It prevents one from actually carrying the cross. It prevents somebody from actually engaging in theosis. And so mind control is ironically all about breaking fragile minds. To mind control somebody, you have to break down their psyche. You have to break their brain to a degree. And what do you do that through? Intense pressures, traumas, right? Fracturing somebody's psyche in different ways. And so mind control is absolutely about the breaking of one's mind and then re-putting that together in a sort of fragile, organized, programmed way. In a way that's happening to everybody. Because I've done streams talking about the broken brain syndrome, right? People literally can't engage in critical thinking. People literally can't think. People literally can't read anymore. What's going on? This is the breaking of the brain. The breaking of the brain is part of the process of breaking the ability to engage with these higher faculties, which are then the uncreated energies of God, which then sever and separate somebody from engaging in the process that actually divinizes them and makes them more human, right? These higher faculties, engaging with them actually make us more human. So if we're not engaging with them, what's happening? We're becoming less human. We're becoming more like animals. And that's why then people are so programmable. That's why they're so trainable. That's why they're so malleable. You see, me being anti-fragile, or hoping to be, trying to be, us as Orthodox Christians trying to be anti-fragile, in a way, we're extremely pliable and flexible, but we don't break. We can maneuver, we're facing the world, we change, but we don't break. We always are focused on God. We have a particular orientation. Our telos is Christ. Our telos is the kingdom. And I would argue, when Christ then on the cross, when we look at John 19, verse 30, where Jesus' death is described, starting in verse 28. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now a vessel full of sour wine was sitting there, and they filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a hyssop, and put it to his mouth. So my man's dying on the cross, and even at his last statement, he's thirsty. The world, again, Christ is so anti-fragile, even when the last thing, I just want some water, they give him sour wine. And what does he do? And what's the next thing he says when they give him sour wine? When again they do the opposite of what he's asking for? It is finished. What is finished? The image and likeness of man is finished. That man is fully united with God. The image and likeness of man is done within Christ on the cross. Then he defeats death. By definition, he's freed from the bonds of death. So it is done. It is finished. Antifragility, in a way, is the telos of mankind. Anti-fragility, Christ being anti-fragile, right? Even when the last moment he just wants some water, they give him sour wine, and in that he actually fulfills and finishes the creation of making man in the image and likeness of God. Because our problem is we fell. We still had the image. We're engaging in those higher faculties. We lost the likeness because of our fall, because of our nature, because of our free will and what we choose. And that's also what we're engaging in now. And so Christ then finished that work on the cross. And so I come back. Antifragility is the telos of man. Antifragility is the telos of man. And that what makes a man great is how many challenges he has faced and overcome. I'm talking about every single man who has ever been exceptional, who's ever been worthy of praise in history. That's what a man is. And in a way, it's true for both men and women. It's true for both men and women. Both of us have to overcome these obstacles. It's just that in a sort of more physical way, right? Whether it be the animals or the whatever physical threats, right? A burglar, a criminal. It's the men that have to step up and face these challenges. So a man, what makes a man great is the facing and overcoming of challenges. He could be a sea captain. He could be a military captain. He could be, an admiral, whatever. He could be an artist. He could be Joe Schmo on the sidewalk. He's the best janitor in the world. Everything is about challenges. And a man that's worth respect is a man who's faced challenges and overcome them. And that's where then what is a weak man? A weak man is a man who is still yet to overcome obstacles that have encountered him in life. Could be a divorce. Could be a broken heart from a girlfriend. Could be the way his parents treated him. Could be how his brother made fun of him as a kid. Whatever it is. Are you not over it yet? Are you fragile? You see, it's a stopping in time. The only way we progress as who we truly are, the only way we become fully man is by overcoming these obstacles. It's the only way. And in so doing, that is who we discover who we are too. It's a process of both discovery of self and becoming. We are becoming more than what we are. So what makes a man a great man is how many challenges he has faced. A weak man has previous challenges that he is still yet to overcome. And that's why you don't respect a weak man. You don't respect the man who still has drug addiction or he's now homeless because, again, these are people, these are brothers and sisters who came up to an obstacle in life. Could be they lost their money. Could be they lost their wife or their husband. Somebody may have died in your life. Could be your family members. You see, all of these are obstacles, providence, opportunities to work out our salvation by becoming more like Christ, by facing them head on, by feeling the emotions they give us. Don't run away from it. Encounter it. Experience it. Embody it. Embody it. And so this brings a new perspective as to why we thank God for adversity and struggle as Orthodox Christians. When you begin then to read all these quotes of, say, St. Mary of Egypt or various Saint XYZ, and they're talking about, you're facing struggles, you're facing adversities, pray to God and give him thanks. And then other people, Western people, they read this, what the heck's going on here? Why would a saint thank God for some type of tragedy? Because the Western mind has become fragile. It's not anti-fragile. You see, the mindset that Christ gives us is, in essence, anti-fragility. It is to continually be facing the world and continually growing. And growth is a sort of life. And so, ironically, as we face challenges, we grow in a way in the sort of energy of life. We grow. Eventually, something's going to kill us, but that's our martyrdom. And so by this continual path of facing challenges, focusing on God, being Christ-like, and overcoming, When we die, we actually won't die. We actually won't die. And so if maybe one of us get thrown into the Colosseum and have to face a lion or a tiger because we're going to be eaten in front of a crowd, well, do it with a smile and do it to the best of your ability. What's there to lose? Right? It's like once you've acquired this anti-fragility, once you've acquired this anti-fragile mindset, what can be taken from you? What can be taken from you? Because what we're acquiring in the process of becoming more than who we are every time we face these challenges, that is so valuable. It's worth more than any single thing that could be given to you in this world. And that is the working out of salvation. I mean, what could be more valuable? What could be more valuable? There isn't anything. And so this brings, as I said, a new perspective as to why we thank God for adversity and struggles in our lives. Because by being anti-fragile, we become more than who we are. We become fully human. We're working out the animal that's inside of us. We're trying to get rid of the animal. We want to become more human. And that's why, again, we imitate Christ. We carry our cross. We become anti-fragile. We cannot be destroyed. And even when they kill us, they can't kill us. That's ultimate anti-fragility. And so every time we overcome, we become more human. We become more like Christ. This is theosis. This is theosis. And this is a new perspective on theosis. We can talk about the energy essence distinction. We can be talking about the personhood theology, being made in the image and likeness of God. But in a way, this anti-fragility is a sort of new lens. It's a new perspective to look at these same old topics. And I think it's really important. I think it's really useful. And shout out to Thomas Henderson, because he gave me the exceptional quote from St. Augustine: "The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself." And that's why we, as Orthodox Christians too, there's nothing wrong with debate. There's nothing wrong with debating these other worldviews, because truth can't be destroyed. Truth, you can kick the tires. You can check the engine. You can pull out the dipsticks. Truth cannot be destroyed. We should not be afraid of falsehood. We should be encountering falsehood as directly as possible, because then we shine our light. Wasn't that the gospel reading for today for everybody who went to liturgy? It's about letting your light shine. It's about being like Christ. And so we need to face these falsehoods as directly as we can. Okay, so that's where, thank God for Dyer doing his debates. That's what some people need to become Orthodox. And it's demonstrating, again, the anti-fragility of our tradition, right? Orthodoxy can't be killed. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of other people's arguments. Don't be afraid of other traditions. Engage with them. Learn about them. But first be rooted in the truth. And from there, you become anti-fragile. And then every challenge, especially if you're a man, you should be excited for it, right? What's more empowering? What's more exciting? What's more exciting? I mean, working out in the gym and facing life challenges, and every time something happens, again, maybe some of you young guys, maybe you're going through a breakup. Maybe girls are a problem. Guys, face it. Face it. Again, and that's why, and you notice, again, when people break up, I know there's a whole meme online. What do people do? They go to the gym. Guys go to the gym. When a girl breaks up or breaks their heart, they go work out and become fit. What are they doing? They're trying to become anti-fragile. Maybe they haven't mended their own emotional state, but they're making their body certainly more anti-fragile. And again, if we're Orthodox Christian men, I wish there was a culture that when people saw a man, and again, he just had these traditional masculine things, I wish that was like, people think, man, that must be an Orthodox Christian guy. Obviously we don't have that many numbers here in the United States, but I wish that was the culture of the ortho bros. It's about traditional masculinity. It's about, being anti-fragile physically, being anti-fragile emotionally, be a stoic. Some of you guys are way too damn emotional. That's a problem. You're a woman. Quit. Stop it. And that's in another way. Women are blessed with capabilities. They overcome challenges maybe we as men don't overcome. We're all, men and women, both called to this process of overcoming the challenges. Maybe we do them in different ways. But the young men, stop being so damn emotional. Have a little stoicism about you. Be a little more stoic. Try to be like your grandfather. And, and that's why we can't be afraid of confrontation. We can't be afraid of confrontation. At the same time, we shouldn't seek it. We're not out here to cause confrontation, but we shouldn't shy away from it. We should embrace it. Embrace it. All right. Guys, smash that like. I hope everybody's enjoying today's stream. Again, I was thinking about making this stream topic for members only, but I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna rant and rave. Let's do it. Let's just hop on here and do it. So I want to make a few quick announcements, guys. Shout out to everybody who's become a website member. God bless you all. Again, I got some new exclusive members content. I got a Logos review of the movie The Northman. And that is for a $5 a month Logos subscription. It gives you access to an exclusive video library. Some of these videos I also will post over on Rockfin, but not all of them. All members' content is always directed and uploaded at the website. Some of it gets uploaded over on Rockfin. But if you would like to have access to those exclusive videos, including my Montanica speech, both this year and last year, including my Tradform speech last year, all that stuff's on the website for $5 a month subscription. Also, for those who would like to be a little bit more involved and you'd like to join our premium members group, again, shout out to Thomas Henderson. I know he's in the chat. He joins us. We have a great time, and we have an all members, premium members group this Thursday evening, this coming Thursday. July, what is this Thursday? The 23rd, I believe. And so this coming Thursday, we have a premium members group where if you would be excited, if you would want to join our Zoom meeting, we got multiple members. We just have conversations. It's really a lot of fun. If that's something that you'd be interested in doing, sign up for the $25 a month membership. Also, if anybody would like to schedule a one-on-one for this Thursday, I still got some slots available for this Thursday. You can do so with that link right there. And right now, we are all caught up on all the sponsored streams. So last stream you guys saw, I had a sponsored stream on Russell Brand. So if you guys, I've had 3 sponsored streams. They've all been really good. One was on Orthodox Martyrdom, marriage versus monasticism. Another one was on Khazaria, a very interesting and enigmatic empire. And then the most recent one was on the spirituality of Russell Brand. So guys, those are 3 sponsored streams. If you have a topic that you'd like me to dive into for a sponsored stream, essentially you're purchasing my time, the hours and research I do and invest for each stream. You're purchasing for that time, and then I'm going to present one on whatever topic that you then decide on or would like a stream on. So if you'd like to do that, that link is also posted right there. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's just dive a little bit deeper into our content today. And so let's talk a little bit more about anti-fragility here. It looks like this. So again, I love this quote by St. Augustine. It says, the truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself. And that is part of my monologue, how I was talking about how truth is a sort of threat to the fragile mind, to the fragile narrative. That as we look again at the mob who killed Christ, truth, the mob, again, one letter over, the NPC who's part of the mob, the faceless entity, right? The non-playable character who goes along with the system, the mob. They can't look at truth without seeing the opposite, right? That's why they looked at Christ and they were thrilled that they were going to crucify him. The same thing is true with the NPCs of our day. The same thing is true that people who look at a female baby and a male baby and think, well, I'm not going to gender it. I'm going to let it decide when it's about 3.5 years old. Duh. These people have fragile minds. And the fragility of one's mind, as one adopts the lies, as one dives deeper into this satanic system, the inverted system, truth is a threat, because truth actually fractures the fragility of one's mind, because truth itself is anti-fragile. Christ is the ultimate example of anti-fragility. And so I love this quote. To get in a little bit more into this concept, here's the Wikipedia. That says, again, anti-fragility is a property of systems in which they increase in capability to thrive as a result of stressors, shocks, volatility, noise, mistakes, faults, attacks, and failures. The concept was developed by Nassim Taleb in his book Anti-Fragile and in technical papers. As Taleb explains in his book, anti-fragility is fundamentally different from the concepts of resiliency, the ability to recover from failure, and robustness, that is the ability to resist failure. The concept has been applied in risk analysis, physics, molecular biology, transportation planning, engineering, aerospace, and computer science. Not theology, though. So that's where I was looking at this, and I'm like, I got to do a theological take on the anti-fragility. A theological take. And again, I feel like this anti-fragility, you take this lens, the encountering of stressors, pressures, failures, and actually growing and increasing in capability. This is how we are as we become competent. This is what the body does. And of course, Christ is the ultimate example of this. So simply, anti-fragility is defined as a convex response to a stressor or source of harm, leading to a positive sensitivity to increase in volatility or variability, stress, dispersion of outcomes, or uncertainty, what is grouped under the designation of disorder cluster. So again, people who are anti-fragile become more competent and thrive in the face of disorder. This is what we are all called to as Christians, as all followers of Christ. This is certainly what we got to do right now, given the state of the world. And so likewise, fragility is defined as a concave sensitivity to stressors, leading to a negative sensitivity to increase or volatility. The relation between fragility and convexity and sensitivity to disorder is mathematical, obtained by theorem, not derived from empirical data mining or some historical narrative. It is a priori. Okay, and so I have a few different videos that I want to show you. First is one... dang it, on the, let's see here. It was anti-fragility. It was this one here. So here's a quick little video I'm going to play, describing Taleb's, basically I've already described it for you. You guys get it. But we're going to play a quick little video for people in case they prefer it a different way. Again, here's the Wikipedia for his book. Again, shout out to Allison. She said, hey, I have a book called Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder. That's exactly it, Allison. That's the exact book that we're actually building off of. And so I'm going to play this video to try to, again, fill in some of the theories here of Nassim Taleb's before we go into a few different places. So check this out, and then we'll be right back.
Think of a box that says fragile on it. It's going to have something in it that breaks if you throw it around. So it could be something like glass, for example. Now, if you ask most people, what is the opposite of fragile? You'll get answers like resistant or robust. So something like a more solid piece of glass that doesn't break when it gets thrown around. But that's like saying that the opposite of negative is neutral. The opposite of fragile is not robust, it's anti-fragile, meaning a structure that gains from disorder, that gains from being kicked around. The way I like to think about it is, every time you kick the anti-fragile box, the glass inside doesn't break, doesn't simply resist, but turns a little bit more into a diamond. The more you kick it around, the stronger the diamond gets. My first 2 years at the Air Force Academy, I wasn't allowed to own a car. And the only way I could ever leave was if an upperclassman let me use their car. And I remember it would be the weekend, and I would tell my friends, hey, let's borrow a car from someone and leave. And they'd say something like, everyone's already left. We can't get a car. No one who's here lends it out. And I went along with that for a while, but then I said, this is bullshit. I'm going to go around and knock on every single door and ask for a car. And by the end of the night, I had a car, but I also realized why everyone always had some kind of a rationalization for why there were no cars available. Every time I knocked on a door, it was awkward. And awkward was the best scenario. The most common answers were rude or condescending. But the more doors I knocked on, the more awkward situations I put myself in, the more condescending the comments, the more I got made fun of, the less I started to give a shit, and I almost always ended up with a car. I wasn't a glass that was going to break. I wasn't simply resisting being broken. I was turning into a diamond with every door that I knocked on. Being anti-fragile is being alive. You should crave being kicked around. You crave it because the more you get kicked around, the more you know that you're turning into that diamond. Now you might say, are you some kind of a masochist? Who wants to crave being kicked around? Well, here's my question. When you go to the gym and you're on your 8th rep and you have 4 more to go to failure, do you stop and say, well, I'm not a masochist. I will cease the lifting process now because I'm starting to feel discomfort? Hopefully not. So why are you only applying that to just one aspect of your life? It's actually a lot easier to go to failure on your set in the gym than to go door to door trying to sell a product, or make those uncomfortable calls when you're an entrepreneur, or go up to a woman in the middle of the street and say hi. I know this because I had plenty of friends who went to failure in the gym, no problem, who squatted 3 times as much as I did, but could never go door to door asking for a car. Apply being anti-fragile to every aspect of your life. Start craving that disorder around you. Getting 1,000 negative comments since I started this channel has been one of the best things that has ever happened to me. Literally, one of the best things. I remember when I first started, I told myself, oh, I don't care about external feedback. That doesn't affect me. I'm completely detached from that. And then I started to receive that negativity, and sometimes it would get to me. It really would, even though I knew it shouldn't. Fast forward to now, after reading 1,000 negative comments, it doesn't even register anywhere anymore. I just laugh and keep doing what I need to do. But to get to that level with anything, you should be willing to be alive, to be anti-fragile, to be thrown around. And the more you subject yourself to being thrown around, the more that fragile glass turns into a beautiful diamond.
Yes. And so, I just wanted to make a clarification there. I saw a few people say something in the live chat. Resiliency and the ability to recover from failure, or robustness, the ability to resist failure, is not the same thing as anti-fragility, which means you grow through disorder, chaos, and failure. So I just wanted to make that clarification. They are actually a little bit different. It's subtle, but it is different. And so here is another video that is then hitting on, and this was later. I kind of developed my whole monologue, and then I found this video on the internet that that talks about don't chase happiness because you will become more fragile. That anti-fragility is the ability to face challenges and overcome them. And so, just like Thomas Henderson says, the purpose in life is to image God who creates order out of chaos. Yes. And we should be, again, that's why we should be taking the opportunity, thriving in the opportunity of the chaos and disorder that we're facing now, and really begin to think about how is it we're going to make our lives more anti-fragile. And that's what I loved about the little video I played before, is he mentioned doing it to every aspect of your life. We can certainly, we're called to by Christ to become anti-fragile in our spiritual sort of approach and engagement with challenges and adversity. But our income, our families, our house, where we get our food, our water, these are things post-2020 that we need to think about in regards to anti-fragility. We need to think about how to make these aspects of our lives more anti-fragile. And I think a lot of us have already picked that up, and that's why we are trying to become more self-sustainable through homesteads, through building our own structures, our own are just being more self-sufficient, right? And that, again, that's in a way how we become more anti-fragile. And in a way, that's how our lives become more truthful, right? That's the part that I missed in my monologue because I rant and rave, is that as we face these challenges, as we become more of what we are than before the challenges we faced, our lives actually become more truthful. There's more validity, not only to who we are as a person, but our lives themselves. And so the confrontation of challenges and overcoming them itself is like a journeying towards truth and our lives becoming more and more truthful. And as we do that, we're only going to figure out what our purposes are too. So your profession, your professional, your career, whatever this is, there's always going to be challenges. Gaining a skill set, gaining competency. All these things are challenges, but we need to reshape the way that we look at challenges as not something to avoid, but something to embrace. Because the embracing of that friction is movement. That's how you walk, right? You literally walk on the ground, as when your foot causes friction with the ground, there's movement there. That's what the challenges we face are. We see then it really is God who sends us all these terrible tragedies in our lives. They really are providence. They really are opportunities to work out our salvation. And so we should be thinking then, if we get what's going on, we know the Klaus Schwabs of the world, we know the agendas of the global elite, we need to really be thinking about, how do I become more anti-fragile in every aspect of my life? Not just spiritually, but certainly that needs to be the foundation of it. But spiritually, physically, if you're a man, you better be working out 3 days a week. Doesn't have to be bodybuilding. Maybe you run. Maybe you do calisthenics. If you're a man and you're not working out 3 days a week, what are you doing? How are you staying strong? How are you physically staying anti-fragile? How are you going to be able to serve the woman in your life or the children that you have if you're not there physically to do the activities that we're called to as men? So we need to think about anti-fragility in our incomes. What type are we going to have to play the game of the passports and the coof and the jibby jabs to make sure we have an income? Then we need to navigate that. You need to think that out. If you're trying to move in a direction where you don't have to engage with that system anymore, that fragile system, and you want to become more anti-fragile, well, then you got to move in that direction. You got to think it out. You got to plan ahead. And so here is the next video I want to show you guys on don't chase happiness, become anti-fragile. So check this out.
There are only two kinds of people who do not experience painful emotions. The first kind are the psychopaths. The second kind are dead. There is a false understanding or expectation that a happy life means being happy all the time. No, learning to accept and even embrace painful emotions is an important part of a happy life. And the study of painful emotions is an important part of the field of happiness studies. My name is Tal Ben-Shahar. I'm a student and teacher in the field of happiness studies. And my most recent book is Happier No Matter What. There is a very important concept that was introduced by Nassim Taleb, and that is anti-fragility. Anti-fragility is essentially resilience 2.0. Resilience 1.0 is when we put pressure on a system. After the pressure is lifted, that system goes back to its original form. Anti-fragility takes this idea a step further. You put pressure on a system, it actually grows bigger, stronger. We see anti-fragile systems all around us and within us. For example, our muscular system. We go to the gym and we lift weights. We're putting pressure on our muscles. What happens as a result? We actually grow stronger. We're an anti-fragile system. On the psychological level, you know what?
And we see then that anti-fragility is a sort of dimension of reality. Again, I'm arguing that the Logos is ultimately anti-fragile. You can't get rid of logic. You can't get rid of sacred geometry. You can't get rid of fractals. You cannot get rid of the metaphysical reality of the Logos. You cannot get rid of Jesus Christ. That's why he resurrected when the evil one, the world, tried to kill him. You can't get rid of the truth. You can't get rid of it. And so when we look at these anti-fragile systems, I think maybe then if we have people in the audience who are engineers, who are sort of systematic thinkers and designers, that the anti-fragility concept, maybe all systems that are then anti-fragile are more Christ-centered systems. Because in a way, it sort of embodies the way in which truth reacts to the world, because to be anti-fragile is to deal with reality, right? So again, the fragility mindset, the mindset of the system that's trying to get everybody to be weak and effeminate and broken, they want us to not deal with reality. They don't want us to deal with these real stressors. They create false narratives and understandings to try to pacify us, where an anti-fragile system, no matter what it is responding to real pressures, and it's growing in face of that. Maybe this is, again, maybe those who are more engineering minded approaching and trying to build more anti-fragile systems would sort of help deal with and fight off the sort of false, manipulative, monopolistic systems that are already in place in the world, that again are sort of self-serving and sort of meritocratic, right? It's not about capability or competency. It's actually incompetent, right? That's how people fail up. That's kind of the world that we see in now. And I think when I learn more about the anti-fragility, it's like anti-fragile systems then are sort of in the opposite of that.
That's called PTG, post-traumatic growth. So where post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is about breaking down, post-traumatic growth is about growing stronger. As a result of pressure, stress, it's anti-fragility. The role of the science of happiness is to teach us what conditions we can put in place to increase the likelihood of growing from hardship. Now, there is a paradox when it comes to pursuing happiness. On the one hand, we know that happiness is a good thing, whether in and of itself or as a means toward other ends. At the same time, we also know from research by Iris Moss and others that people who say to themselves, happiness is important for me, I want to pursue it, those individuals actually end up being less happy. In fact, they're more likely to experience depression. So the paradox is that on the one hand, happiness is clearly a good thing. On the other hand, valuing it as a good thing is problematic. So what do? The way to resolve this paradox is that we pursue happiness indirectly. Think about sunlight. So if I look at the sun directly, it's going to hurt my eyes. However, if I break down sunlight into its elements, into its constituents, I can look at the colors of the rainbow. So I'm indirectly looking at the sunlight, enjoying it, savoring it. In the same way, pursuing happiness directly can cause more harm than good. But breaking it down into its elements can lead us to enjoy the indirect pursuit of happiness, and by extension, to raise our overall levels of happiness. What are the metaphorical colors of the rainbow when it comes to happiness? Here we have what I've come to call the spire model, and it can trigger the anti-fragile system. SPIRE is an acronym that stands for spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and finally, emotional well-being. Spirituality is about finding a sense of meaning and purpose in life, at work and at home. If you wake up in the morning with a purpose, you're more likely to overcome barriers. When it comes to physical well-being, the most important idea to look at is stress, the silent killer. In the United States, more than half of the employees do not use up their vacation time. And even those that do, close to half are still tethered to their work. The problem is not the stress, it's the lack of recovery. With intellectual well-being, there's research showing that people who are curious, who ask questions, are not just happier, they also live longer. Another important element is not just asking questions, it's deeply engaging with material.
You see it in a way, it requires a critical ability to think. Again, I was talking about the fragile mind leads to a sort of broken brain, right? The belief in the propaganda, the lies, the refusal to look at truth, the refusal to deeply investigate. That's why we have friends and family and know people that, whether it be the Koof, whether it be the Stabbies, whatever it be, they don't even want to look at it. Even if you laid out factual information to show them, they don't even want to look at it. They don't want to engage with it. They don't want to see truth.
And be text, a work of art, even nature. Relational well-being is very important. The number one predictor of happiness is quality time we spend with people we care about and who care about us. And it turns out the number one condition that we can put in place to increase the likelihood of anti-fragility, of growing through hardship, is the quality of our relationships. Finally, emotional well-being. So embracing painful emotions is critical, but how do we then cultivate pleasurable?
And I would say this embracing of difficult emotions, this is part of, again, when we talked about the weak man who still has challenges in his life that he's yet to overcome. Could have been a previous divorce, could be a previous relationship, could be the way his brother beat him up and mocked him as a kid, could be a speech impediment he had, whatever it is. And this is true for both men and women. It's easier for me to pick on men than women, obviously. So the weak man then, is somebody who has had challenges, difficulties, adversities in their lives, and there's pieces of them, emotionally speaking, that are still back in the past. They've yet to confront and overcome these challenges. And in a way, that's what PTSD is. I'm not trying to call anybody with PTSD weak. Obviously, very traumatic experiences people that have had. But you see what I mean. Now, obviously, in much less deadly and violent circumstances outside of PTSD, a lot of people then, weak men, are still, whether their drug addictions, their porn addiction, something. These are often ways in which they are expressing themselves due to a piece of themselves being, lost back to a confrontation they've yet to overcome. They're still dealing with that breakup. They're still dealing with the fact that they had that speech impediment. And when they spoke in class, everybody laughed at them. And so we have to overcome these. And a way we do that is engage with. I mean, that's what the psychotherapist does, is it forces somebody to relive that moment, to experience those emotions, and then to mentally and emotionally overcome them. And as soon as they do, now they're a new person. Again, they're almost made more whole. They're made more human. They become more Christ-like. They are more of who they really are. And that's a process we all need to think about, is our challenges and the challenges we face, and especially the emotions that we have. These are opportunities in a way, though it's so hard to see it. It's so hard to see it. Say you have a parent who's very ill, or a loved one who's very ill and very sick. Maybe they're dying of cancer. Maybe they have a certain disease. Very, very difficult to maintain this sort of anti-fragility mindset when somebody you love and care about is dying before you. But at the same time, being anti-fragile is the best thing you could do for that person who's dying in front of you. Do not become fragile. Do not then break down in front of them. So yeah, just wanted to say that. Let's continue on here.
Specifically, the emotion of gratitude. Cicero talked about gratitude as the mother of all virtues. When we appreciate the good in our life, we have more of it. So happiness is much more than pleasure. Happiness is whole being. These 5 elements together create that sunlight, happiness. I don't think there is a point before which one is unhappy, after which one is happy. Rather, happiness resides on a continuum. It's a lifelong journey. And knowing that, we can have realistic rather than unrealistic expectations about what is possible. I do not think that things necessarily happen for the best. However, we can learn to make the best of things that happen.
I can basically get on board with all that. And so how I want to then wrap up today's stream is by reading this article on what is truth. This is an OCA article. Oh, come on. Let me pull that up. All right, so guys, I'm going to read some super chats after this article. So if you are here with us, smash that like, guys. I know some people just hopped on here. Smash that like. And after I get through this article, then we are going to read the super chat. So if you would like to support the stream and you'd like to support some of my work, please use the Streamlabs link to send in a super chat. If you prefer to use YouTube, that is fine as well, YouTube or Streamlabs, and I'd be very, very grateful for that. So I will get to those in just a minute. So this article is from the OCA website. Let me share this link with you guys. It's an article titled, "What is Truth?" And it's by the OCA website, the Orthodox Church of America. And so let's read this real quick. It says, "What is truth?" And then it quotes John 18:37. "So you are a king," Jesus answered. "So you are a king," Jesus answered. "You say that I am a king, ... For this I was born, to bear witness to the truth." Pilate said, "What is truth?" And Jesus gave no answer. You know, even before going on here, I kind of want to just go back. I got the scripture pulled up right here. So 1837, bam. So let me read this. Pilate therefore said to him, Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And when he said this, he went out again to the Jews and said to them, "I find no fault in him at all. But you have a custom that I should release someone to you at Passover. Do you therefore want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" Then they all cried again, saying, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a robber. And so we look at this verse right here, and I want to read the part where it's talking about truth. And it says, "It is unheard of that the accused would have to name the charges against himself in any court, since the captors would be the ones to name the crime. That Pilate has to ask Jesus what the charges are shows that the chief priest could name no crime that he committed. And more importantly, it shows Jesus was Lord over the events of his own death. For even the governor has to come to him in order for the trial to proceed. Though Pilate knows Christ to be innocent of any crime, he attempts to strike a compromise with the Jews by declaring Christ guilty, but freeing him on account of the Passover. Thus, the chief priest would have an official declaration of guilt, and Christ would not be unjustly punished. Okay, so now let's read this article on what is truth. And so it reads, "A Christian will see this question, 'What is truth?' is phrased incorrectly. Truth is not a concept, it is a person. Pilate was not open to a discussion as the meaning of truth. He had his own definition. It was for him whatever he wanted it to be, like many alive in our time. Truth can be anything or everything, a way of imposing one's will onto others. And that is that sort of relativistic, subjective reality, that postmodern reality, that Foucaultian reality where it's just power, right? It's just power. So really what truth is which will powerfully dominates other people's wills. That's the only thing that's really existing, and that is really what truth is. That's for those people. Of course, we deny this. It's not objective for these people. An indisputable philosophical or ethical term that cannot be questioned. Truth today is as sincere and meaningful as a salesperson's pitch for his product. Pilate portrays the irony of the Lord's words, "I have come into the world to bear witness to the truth," by his question, What is truth? This Jew rejected by his own people and brought to be executed. He claims to have the truth? How odd. To him, Jesus is a fanatic, a lunatic, or a fool. A cunning revolutionary would not have entered Jerusalem without warriors. He would have hidden and chosen an opportune time for attack. He appeared too intelligent to be out of his mind. Is he such a fool as to not throw himself on the ground and plead and beg and whine for his life? So he sent him to be beaten mercilessly and to placate the troublesome Jewish leaders demanding his death. Surely they'll realize how ridiculous is their claim that he is a threat to Roman authority, the trumped-up justification for turning him in as a criminal. I am the way, the truth, and the life, says the Lord. Truth is the way through life. Truth does not appear to a person complete and transparent. It cannot just be contained in a doctrine. It cannot be contained in a single book. Even the Bible doesn't describe it as an idea. Truth is worked out by living. By living. Right there. Truth is worked out by living. Again, remember, Christ is a who. Truth is a who, not a what. And so I said, Christ, the ultimate fulfillment of this anti-fragility. And that we then, as we encounter challenges and as we overcome them, as we become stronger and better, every time we overcome these challenges, we become more like Christ and our lives become more truthful. Remember I said our lives become more truthful as we engage with these things. And so truth is worked out by living. One is born and set on the course towards infinity. What happens on the way affirms, challenges, contradicts, and verifies the truth about God and Christ and the relationship with self. At times, some are forced to deal with lies, as it is in the last century under communism, a system based on falsehood, run on mistrust and deception. Solzhenitsyn wrote that the only way to overthrow such a government was, quote, do not lie. Do not surrender to the lie. Do not spread lies. Let me reiterate that, guys. Remember, the fragile mind is the mind who's adopted all the lies. The fragile mind is the NPC who's part of the mob. The fragile mind is somebody who's severed their interaction with these higher faculties. Truth, justice, logos, right? Logic, reason. They've severed, objective aesthetics. And so we see all these NPCs filled with the lie, promoting socialism, collectivism, whatever. Could be, again, all across the political spectrum, both left and right? So these NPCs, these members of the mob, they themselves are filled with the lie. That's why when they look at the truth, it's a threat. They have to kill it. They have to bury it. They have to torture it. They have to harm it because the truth is a threat to their false reality, to their metaverse, their linguistic, magical metaverse of reality. And that's why an anti-fragile system is responding to what reality is and becoming better. So let me read that again. As Solzhenitsyn wrote, the only way to overthrow a communist government, a government filled with lies, a government who's declaring itself to be God, is do not lie. Do not surrender to the lie and do not spread lies. Today's world rejects Christian truth and morals, replacing them with a modern version of Pilate's conclusion, claiming there is no truth because there is no God. Be a God for yourself, the world says, and create your own truths. Jesus Christ as the truth must be found and followed in our time by each who is eager to follow the way and share the life that he offers along with the peace that he gives, quote, not as the world gives, unquote. Christ as truth is not objective. He was not a philosopher like Socrates sharing wisdom among his devotees or even a rabbi instructing pupils from the Bible. The peripatetic Son of God, quote, has nowhere to lay his head, unquote, constantly on the move from the right hand of the Father to and through the womb of the Theotokos and into the world of his own time. He was ever challenging the conventions, confusing the authorities, and astounding the despondent, ever gathering disciples and bonding them to himself in the upper room and more securely on the cross and beyond the tomb. That truth cannot be understood or contained in one's mind alone or in the heart alone, not at any one moment. It, or rather he, Jesus Christ, the Logos, needs always to be born within our souls, developing and expanding as we open ourselves to his truth on our own way through life and beyond. And that is the real anti-fragility, is carrying your own cross, following Christ, and participating in that reality. So, guys, this is going to conclude today's stream on the anti-fragility of truth, how truth is undefeatable because truth is the ultimate example of anti-fragility. And I argue that Christ, Jesus Christ, the Logos, is the ultimate example of anti-fragility. His life from birth shows how he only gained and grew in strength by facing adversity. Even when the world tried to kill him, they lifted him up. But those that were fragile, those NPCs, those that were the children of the lie, looked at the truth and saw the opposite of what it was. And so, currently, the world we live in now is still recapitulating the crucifixion. Currently, the world is trying to kill the Logos, the metaphysical reality of Christ still present. And the deliberate chaos and disorder of the world is really an attempt to obfuscate the truth, to get people to fall into and become children of the lie, to become more animalistic, which means becoming more fragile, more breakable. The evil and adversities we now face are opportunities for growth. And the church has always been the example, the epitome of anti-fragility. Our church, the Christian church, the Orthodox church, has only grown in the face of persecution and challenges. So the goal of evil is to make people more fragile. As people believe the lies, they become weaker and more controllable, because as we become more like animals, we become more fragile. The fragile mind sees truth as a threat. The hedonistic pursuit of happiness severs one's ability to become anti-fragile, because to be anti-fragile is not to pursue pleasure. The mind and the mind control of our day is absolutely tied to the fragility of people and their broken brains. When Christ on the cross says, "It is finished," I believe him to be talking about the image and likeness of man, that theosis was fully done, that the bonds of death have been destroyed. And so when he says it is finished, he's also on the cross. He's also being persecuted by the world. And I argue that this is the telos of man, that the Orthodox Christian theology, the point of theosis, is that all of us literally are becoming more and more anti-fragile. We are going to end up in eternity, and we must become more and more anti-fragile as we encounter stressors, pressures, and adversities, and we overcome them. What makes a man a great man is how many challenges he has faced and successively overcome. So this brings a new perspective as to why our saints in the Orthodox Church thank God for every adversity and struggle, because it is a working out of their salvation. And this is what it means to carry one's cross, and this is what it means to follow Christ. This is what theosis is. So guys, smash that like. I hope you enjoyed today's streams. Today's stream, singular, sorry. And I'm now going to dive into some of these super chats. So guys, smash that like. Really appreciate everybody. Shout out to the Orthodox Boomer Grandma. She says, "Thank you, DPH." Shout out to you, Alexandra. Hope you and the family are doing well. Hope the candle business is going well, and hope you guys are staying safe up there in NorCal. So God bless you, Alexandra, and your husband. Hope everything's going well with your guys' business. Guys, smash that like. First super chat comes from Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan throws in $10. Man, shout out to Genghis Khan. The Genghis Khan has been a continual supporter, and he's been very generous the last few streams. Whoever Genghis Khan is, I'm not sure who you are, but thank you very much, brother. You've been very generous. You've been throwing in $9, $10 here or there. I really thank you, brother. So no comment there, but I definitely wanted to give Genghis Khan a special shout out. Thank you very much, Genghis Khan. I hope you're doing well, man. I don't know anything about you, don't know where you're at, don't know who you are, but you continue to support me and throw in super chats. God bless you and your family, brother. Thank you very, very much. Next super chat comes from Boneman538, the Boneman. Always funny and insightful. Boneman538 throws in 5101. Shout out to Boneman538 for the generous super chat. Thank you very much, Boneman538. Again, throws in $51, says, one's evolutionary fitness and ability to have their epigenetics conserved ought to become more comfortable with discomfort. Hard times create strong men with the genuine pursuit towards theosis. Amen, brother. And Bone Man, doesn't it make sense then why we always talk about how people find God when they're at their lowest moment, right? When life becomes its worst, when you need help more than anything, that's when people find Christ. That's when people find God. That it's almost like when we come up to challenges that we can't overcome, Christ helps us overcome those, and we're laying down. It's like we fall down. Christ comes and props us back up and says, "No, you can get over it. Come on." And then we get over the challenge. And now, again, we're on the path. We're on the path to theosis. We're on the path to be more like him. We're on the path to carry our cross. We're on the theosis path to move towards that sort of grace-filled unification back with God. So, again, great point here. Boneman538 says, one's evolutionary fitness and ability to have their epigenetics conserved ought to become more comfortable with discomfort. Absolutely, right? Because, and think about it, the people who are really comfortable with discomfort are going to survive. They're going to thrive. We're going to have more children. We're going to do more things. As people become more unable to deal with discomfort, they're going to die out. But that's the whole spiritual reality, right? See, we are anti-fragile. We're actually adjusting and conforming and moving in response to reality. The people who can't deal with discomfort, they're actually on a process of slowly dying. They're going to die out their own lineage, their own genes, but they themselves are going to die because they don't want to face the discomfort of saying, no, I'm not going to put on a mask. No, I don't want to. I'm not getting the jibby jab. No, okay, then go ahead and fire me. Those are the people that have principles. Those are the people who then face these challenges, who become stronger in opposition, who then are going to, okay, yeah, then they do fire you. What are you going to do now? Well, now you know what? I'm going to depend on God, and I'm going to do everything I can to overcome. And so maybe you have to get a new job. Maybe you have to do something. Again, and everybody's in a different place. I'm not telling what somebody to do here, but you see that person's becoming anti-fragile, that they're becoming stronger. Their genes, their lineage, they're going to be better. Whereas we look at so many people nowadays, their inability to face discomfort is going to kill them. It's literally going to kill them. So Boneman538 with another great super chat. Again, thank you so much, Boneman, for the generous super chat. He says, one's evolutionary fitness and ability to have their epigenetics conserved ought to become more comfortable with discomfort. Yeah, so if you plan on having children and you're a man, make sure you're comfortable with discomfort. Easiest way is go to the gym, start working out. Force yourself to do stuff. If you don't like running, as Witkoff said, then go run. Force yourself to do things. Hard times create strong men. Amen. And strong men create great times. And with a genuine pursuit towards theosis. Because if you are a strong man and you're facing a hard time where everything's degenerate, you're going to have eventually to find your strength. You're going to have to root it in something transcendent. You're going to have to root it in God himself. You're going to have to root it in a real reality. And so then your life takes on more meaning. You're going to become stronger, and you are then on that process of theosis. So again, great comment. Bowman538, thank you so much, brother, for all you do. Thank you for all your super chats. Thank you for supporting me. Next super chat comes from Pim Orsels. Throws in $10. Thank you so much, Pim. Again, one of our sponsors of the second streams. He sponsored the Khazaria stream. He says, can you send some prayers for Dad? Great video. Yeah, Pim. Oh, absolutely, we can pray for your dad. What? Type your dad's first name into the live chat, because you normally need to pray with somebody's dad. I mean, we can say Pim's dad. I'm sure God knows who we're talking about, but generally speaking, it's usually useful to say their name. But yeah, Pim, we can absolutely pray for your dad, man. God bless you, and thank you again for all your support, homie. Again, Pim throws in $10 and says, can you send some prayers for Dad? Great video. Well, thank you so much, Pim. I really appreciate it, and I'll absolutely pray for your dad tonight. Preferably, if you're still with us, can you throw his name in the live chat? It would be helpful. If not, we'll just say Pim's dad. But thank you very much, brother. Okay. Next super chat comes from the Keenan Beats. Shout out to Keenan Beats. Shout out to Keenan, one of our great musicians, our Orthodox musicians. Keenan, really appreciate you, man. God bless you and your family. I hope you guys are doing well. He says, great stream for $4.99. Well, thank you so much, Keenan. God bless you, brother. Hope you're doing well. We got to catch up, man. And I think we're going to do this Florida meetup, bro. And so right now, tentatively, we're looking at Satellite Beach. So Satellite Beach, again, we don't have the details yet. I still got to organize details before we get clergy and really make this thing official. But Keenan, I hope you can make it, brother. Next super chat comes from Thomas Henderson. Throws in $10. Shout out to Thomas Henderson, one of our premium members. Thomas, I will see you Thursday night with the gang. Really looking forward to it. He says, for $10, he says, happiness is moments. What we aim for is peace. Quote, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Your heart must not be troubled or fearful. Unquote. Peace is wholeness amid adversity, upheld by grace. Ooh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you. And that's he says, thank you, exclamation. No, thank you, Thomas. Thank you for the $10 super chat. But I gotta go back over this. This is a great super chat. Okay. So he says, happiness is moments. True. What we aim for is peace. True. True. Because even if you are, again, I bet St. Ignatius, when he was facing the lion, still had a sense of peace, right? As we give our lives to Christ, as we try to do our best, as we are repentful, as we grow in our journey towards God through theosis, we actually do acquire a sense of peace. And this aids in overcoming struggles, because our peace, to some degree, yes, it can be, but we can always kind of move back to it. We can always find that place again in Christ and God and our providence and our journeys, that we can rely on Him, gain that peace, and deal with whatever we're dealing with. So even in the midst of struggle and in the midst of adversity, we still can have peace. So let me read this whole super chat. This is really, really good. Thank you so much, Thomas. He says, happiness is moments. What we aim for is peace. Quote, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Your heart must not be troubled or fearful. And that's how we should be as we confront these challenges, these stressors, these pressures, as we become more anti-fragile. We must not let our heart be troubled or fearful. We must move directly into them and take them on head on. And then he says, peace is wholeness amid adversity, upheld by grace. Thank you. That is so good. Peace is wholeness amid adversity, upheld by grace. Wow. Thomas Henderson, really powerful super chat there, brother. Thank you so much, man. Happiness is moments. What we aim for is peace. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Your heart must not be troubled or fearful. Unquote. Peace is wholeness amid adversity, upheld by grace. Wow. Thank you so much, Thomas, for that. Really appreciate it. God bless you and the wife, brother. Look forward to chatting on Thursday. And it looks like the last super chat comes from Storm the Cat. Let me check Rockfin here. Yeah, Rockfin doesn't have. So last one's from Storm the Cat, and he says, hello. Well, hello, Storm the Cat. God bless you, brother. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. So hello to you, Storm the Cat. And that looks like that is the end of the super chats. I don't see anything over on Rockfin. Guys, everybody on Rockfin, could you smash that like? And everybody still with us here, if you haven't, please smash that like, guys. I felt like, we didn't get a big audience today. Of course, like whenever I do the Petersons or the Russell Brand, or if I talk about the devil, or I talk about demons, or I talk about something juicy like Travis Scott, we get hundreds of people. When I try to talk about anti-fragility and something I think is really powerful and useful and pragmatic, not a lot of people show up. So I don't know if it was the title or if it was the thumbnail of today's video. I didn't know exactly what to title today's topic. So if you guys out there who watched and you saw the presentation, if you have thoughts on maybe like a better thumbnail or title, I'm open. Undefeatable, the anti-fragility of truth, and then a picture of Christ being crucified, an icon. Seems like that was kind of the best way to go, but I don't know. I knew people weren't going to find this as interesting, though I thought this was going to be a really powerful and useful stream. So it is what it is. If you guys can smash that like and share it, hopefully other people will watch it. I'm sure it's probably not going to get that many views, but I thought it was an important topic. I thought it connected dots. I thought it kind of hit on some stuff. So Anywho, yes, Credible Threat said it's a good topic. Shout out Thomas Henderson said great stream, though. Thank you very much. So, guys, that's going to do it. Please smash that like. Again, shout out to everybody over on Rockfin. Please become a website member if you would like to support Church of the Eternal Logos. The best way is to become a $5 member at the website, or $25, whatever you prefer. Also, don't forget that you could sign up for a one-on-one session if you'd like to do a one-on-one. And that you could use this link right here to sponsor a stream. If you got a topic you want me to dive into and do some research on, sponsor a stream and I'll do it. Oh, we got one more super chat. One more super chat comes in from the great one, 5150. Shout out to the great one, 5150. Don't know who you are, but thank you very much. Great one, 5150 throws a $9.99. No comment though. Well, thank you so much. The great one, 5150 for the $9.99 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Orthodox Boomer Grandma says, you guys meeting up in Florida? It's in the works. I need to talk with somebody. He wasn't available this weekend. Well, I got to come up with some details. It looks like I think we're going to do the Florida meetup. It's looking like it's going to be Satellite Beach. It's a very central place in Florida. And so I'm looking forward to it. Be able to get out on the beach, catch some sun, meet some people, go to church, have some drinks, hang out. But I'll have more details once I'm able to speak with the other gentleman that I'm trying to organize with. I need to speak with him. We have not been able to hammer out details yet, but once we hammer out details, I will come on here and I will describe what we're going to do, where we're going to do it, what time to everybody. So anybody and everybody, if you're in Europe, you're in Asia, you're in Georgia, I'm going to tell you where we're going to be and when we're going to be there. And then if you're free, come join us. So, yeah. So anyways, guys, that looks like that is going to conclude today's stream. Wish everybody the best. I'm going to be back Tuesday. As of right now, there's a stream that I want to do talking about the logismy and mind viruses and tie this back into meme magic and NPC and the sort of whole casuistry of the state of the world right now, talking about the mind. I may do that one Tuesday. I don't know. If anybody wants to sponsor a stream or got some ideas, I'm definitely open to something, but I'll come up with something juicy for Tuesday. So, as of right now, it's going to be the mind virus, video. So, anyways, Anyways, thank you all. Smash that like. I appreciate all the super chat. Again, special thank you to the Great One 5150, Storm the Cat. Special shout out to Thomas Henderson. Special shout out to Keenan Beats. Special shout out to Pim Orsos. Special shout out to Boneman 538. And special shout out to Genghis Khan, all of which are the usual suspects, the usual names. Guys, thank you so much for continually supporting me and keeping this enterprise going. So God bless you all. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday evening. And as always, until next time, which will be Tuesday evening, God bless.